It's another leisurely Thursday NBA slate here. Only 3 games to get through, and we're going to do the same way we always do here on the Splash Play channel. We're going to dig in, compare my projections to one of the industry leaders out there, our friends over at Stokastic. We'll see who I project better, who they project worse. It's basically the same thing. We'll see what the ownership looks like as well. We'll go top projected players. We'll go top value players. We'll go game by game. We'll hop over to Stokastic, run a sim, and by the end of this video, you'll know all of today's must plays for the NBA November 13th, along with my splash plays. So let's get going here. I feel like I gotta clear my throat the moment I start the video always. All right, there we go. Feeling good. Let's get in hour 3 of streams to me today. NBA slate, very excited about it. Yesterday, I will say, was real kick of the dick of a slate for me. Had a 360 score, had a top 400 lineup. Felt like I got a lot of the value right. Even though I did play too much Jalen Suggs amidst all the better value that opened up. And it is just so hard to fucking win on these NBA slates where there's a lot of value. But the guy that won actually saw this morning in our Stokastic strategy show for the NFL slate. It was a guy who finished number 1 and number 2. Watches Stokastic streams, I guess. So shout out to that guy. I think his name was like Matus or something. But he won 100K with the first place and then another 25K on top with second place, which is crazy impressive. Scored 397 last night with a dummy lineup made after watching the show yesterday. Thanks, Spags. Hopefully that made you some money, but glad to hear that. And glad to see all you guys here. Appreciate you guys watching live. Appreciate all the members. But let's get into it and jam that like button yesterday. You guys know my pre-show food habits all too well, but I did, in fact, have some of the few remaining pieces of Texas toast today. Next week, we'll be back in a bagel-rich world, hopefully, after groceries hit and then some of my affiliate payments for the month hit. But please click that Stokastic link if you can, guys. We got to keep November moving in the right direction. Either way, today's top protected player starts with Pascal Siakam, $9,700 salary. Lately has been giving away a little bit more production. It's Andrew Nembhard having a true point guard in who's very confident in his ability to get shots up. Nembhard, a 26% usage rate to start the year, which is just a bit behind Pascal Siakam and is 29.8%. But Nembhard, like I've talked about a few times, including last year, when you take the key ball handlers away, you take away your Tyrese Halliburton. Obviously, he's out for the year. You take away Benedict Mathurin. You do get McConnell back in, but he's not playing alongside Nembhard too often. Nembhard has looked a little bit better and has taken some shots away from Siakam. That said, on the slate, we have nobody who is an option projected over 50, nobody who's above a 10K plays. So Pascal Siakam is your pay up option on this Thursday 3-gamer. So Siakam 8%, I guess 9%, let's say, ownership for the field. I'm getting him at 13. He doesn't project super well for me. He projects about 0.7 less than Stokastic. But because there is nobody else to pay up for here, it's basically Siakam or Donovan Mitchell today without Darius Garland, who for me projects a little bit lower. These are your options. So options are very limited. Even Devin Booker, like not a guy we would play on a main slate today because there's just nobody you want to pay for here. You're going to get more Siakam, more Booker, more Donovan Mitchell because the money has to go somewhere. Jalen Johnson looks like one of the best plays in the slate, though. I've projected amidst all these 9K guys, but he is priced at 8,300. Jalen Johnson also so far this year with no Trae Young, no Porzingis. He's played 188 possessions, which is shy of the 1,000 possession mark that normally in basketball means the rates are stable, the production is stable. You can sort of assume that guy will produce that way in the future in the same situation. For this amount of time this year, Jalen Johnson has put up 25% usage rate, 38% assist rate, 1.26 fantasy points per minute. Jalen Johnson is always a good, cross-category contributor. Guy can give you a triple-double with assists, with rebounds, with usage. But with Trae Young and Porzingis off the court, the usage consolidates more for him, the assist upside consolidates more for him, and Jalen Johnson becomes even more of a creator. So it is a decent salary for him at 8,300, but he projects to me dead even with Booker, dead even with Donovan Mitchell. I mean, a little bit ahead of those guys, really, and a little bit behind Pascal Siakam. So he is a play. The field's at 56%. I got him 57. Practically, I won't play as many lineups tonight because of NFL going on. We have to load up on Justin Fields in a game where the Jets are projected for 15 points. It's going to go really well. But for the lineups I do play for NBA tonight, Jalen Johnson's probably just going to be in him because he projects so well for me with a 44.5 projection and 44.8 for Stokastic as well. Somebody on Josh's show, morning show, on, of course, Josh Engelman, great morning show on Stokastic with the strategy show there. Mentioned Jalen not having played a back-to-back yet. He has been hurt for those games too. Like, I think he's been actually hurt, not like back-to-back rest. But he hasn't played in one yet. He hasn't been ruled out yet either. So we will see. But the assumption, I mean, and I think Porzingis has already gotten ruled out, right? I believe he officially got ruled out. Let's real fast check the injury report, which updated most recently at 1:30 p.m. Or no, Hawk's not on it. So it is just an assumption that Porzingis doesn't play. I mean, Porzingis, I think, definitely doesn't play. Jalen Johnson, I guess, does have a shot at not playing. But if he does play, he looks good. If he doesn't play, we're in another situation with the Hawks where anybody who remains looks a lot better. Devin Booker, he is on the thumbnail because he's pretty chalky. I don't know what my face communicates here. I feel like my face on the thumbnail today communicates, yeah, you probably got to play him a little bit, but he doesn't look like a super great play. At least that's how I interpret what that face means. For Devin Booker here, 34% ownership feels like a lot, but again, we have no pay-up options. So really, to me, with how Siakam projects, how Booker projects, how Mitchell projects, I would just take this 62% ownership, carve it up equally between them, play 20% of each of the guys, try to get a few where they overlap, I think would be a thing to do as well. But really, like, your pay-up options on the slate aren't that good. So Booker, I don't like, you can play him. He's fine. There's no Jalen Green that helps him out a little bit, but again, his usage doesn't really push up as high as some of the other stars in the league who, you have guys like Grayson Allen alongside of them. They get up a lot more shots. Devin Booker on the year, still holding steady at a fairly reasonable 31% usage rate and a 32% assist rate, 33, I guess, if you want to round up. Just not super exciting options, but you'll get them a little bit here. Booker being the chalkiest one. I really don't think he's a better play than Mitchell or Siakam. Lauri Markkanen, he is one I am getting a lot of. 42% projection for me. Stokastic at 39.3. As a result, I'm getting him at 47%. The field's at 19. Really, Markkanen, Jalen Johnson, these guys at their price tags look a lot better to me than the 9K guys. If I could build a lineup with these 8K options being my only pay-ups, I wouldn't be mad at it either. So I think for the slate, it is really one where, I mean, you can kind of play whoever you want, not in the same way that yesterday was. If you had such crazy value, you could pay up for Wemby, and like I ended up paying up for Wemby more than I would have thought possible just because I had that much money to go around. For today's slate, it's like I kind of think Jalen Johnson and Lauri Markkanen, and to a lesser extent, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, these guys are just as good of a play as like Siakam, Booker, Mitchell. Mitchell's won some slates lately, so I don't want to poo-poo him too much. But based on the projections, it's really not that big of a gap. I think we'll get the Atlanta initial injury report at 3 p.m. Eastern, if I'm understanding Mountain Time correctly. Okay. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, Jalen Johnson, as it is right now, looks really good. But the assumption is that he is in and that Porzingis is not. Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley, two guys that are coming up next year at similar price tags. The projection does favor Mobley by a good amount for me, about 3 fantasy points. Stokastic has it even higher. Mobley about 5.7 fantasy points higher than Scotty Barnes. Mobley expect to be pretty chalky now with Garland out. Definitely some more usage to go around. That should favor Mobley. And Mobley's been producing pretty well on the year. Has for himself 1.23 fantasy points per minute, which is dead even with Jared Allen. Not as far ahead of DeAndre Hunter as you would think. DeAndre Hunter at 1.08, but Donovan Mitchell at 1.4 has now established himself, top the pecking order there. But Mobley, a good player. Certainly, if you're not playing Donovan Mitchell, would think that playing Mobley makes more sense. But Mobley projected to be 2x the ownership of Donovan Mitchell, so perhaps going the other way is your way to get more unique. Scotty Barnes, 8.4% ownership, fields at 6. This feels like a lot of Mobley, not a lot of Barnes. I don't think these guys are very dissimilar plays. But certainly for Mobley, getting him 3x what the ownership is for Barnes right now. But really, Barnes, single-digit owned on a 3-game slate. He's got the most upside on the Raptors. I don't think a bad play ever really when you have those two things paired together. The projection, though, at 4.5 doesn't look that great. And Barnes, for me, my rates, of course, waiting this season a little bit more than Stokastic's will. Scotty Barnes playing a little bit under where he has historically, which makes sense given the fact you've brought in Brandon Ingram. Murray Boyles is also out there doing some more stuff than the guys they had last year. So Scotty Barnes, I think, a little bit less of a good play so far this year. Dyson Daniels has been looking better lately with Trae Young and the various Hawks that have been unavailable. Daniels at 7,300. Court time this year without Trae Young and without Porzingis has put up a 29% assist rate, 21% usage, 1.08-ish fantasy points per minute. So Dyson Daniels, a decent play today. Field's going to be pretty heavy on the Hawks, 56% Jalen Johnson, 36% Dyson Daniels. If Johnson is out, I imagine Daniels gets even chalkier. But it's really because of the fact the Hawks are not really priced for You make the case they're not priced fully for Trae Young being out. They're definitely not fully priced for Trae Young and Porzingis being out, and they are 100% not priced for Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, and Porzingis being out if that ends up being the way that that breaks. Keontae George, another one of the Jazz that's projected well for me to start the year. They are playing this Atlanta team who smoked the Lakers on a spot where they were shorthanded last Saturday that fucked up that DFS slate entirely. Luka Doncic didn't get his fourth quarter run, busted his mega chalk. For this spot with Atlanta, again, just keep that in mind. They could totally smoke Utah here and play the starters off the court. They are surprisingly resilient for a team that is missing so many of their key players so frequently with the back-to-backs and Trae Young being out. So for Keontae George, definitely if you're playing Hawks, I think getting him looks appealing. He and Markkanen both as part of a game stack versus the Hawks, I think is pretty compelling. But, Utah, they are 2.5 point dog at home. The total here is not bad at 232.5, but it's not, it's towards the lower part of these 3 games today. I think there are reasons to not go nuts on Utah, but I am getting definitely above the field on Markkanen and Keontae George. DeAndre Hunter, yesterday, he still made the winning lineup. It was not a great play. I kind of like Hunter more, and it's counterintuitive. I think he plays a little bit better when he's not the primary offensive facilitator, like he was for the most part yesterday. He also got a little bit unlucky yesterday where, from my count watching the game, he had at least 4 or 5 potential assists that guys missed either at the rim or wide open threes. Hunter himself, though, shooting a bunch overall from 3, is just under 8 3-point attempts per game right now. Was a little bit higher than that heading into yesterday. And he's probably due to shoot better from 3 as well. So DeAndre Hunter, it's a lot of ownership for me right now with him, but he's played really well, and he's also put up a 26% usage rate on the year. That includes all these various games that the Cavs have been somewhat shorthanded. But Hunter's playing really well, and he's a guy that, last year to me with his Hawks stint, thought he looked like the best version of himself. This year as kind of a lead facilitator yesterday, he played pretty well, even though he didn't get an outlier result. I think today with no Garland in and, a nice total for Cleveland, I think to me, and, in a Toronto team that defensively is at least league average competency, I think Hunter might get closer to hitting his ceiling in threes from that. So that's how I'm going to justify being very heavy on Hunter yet again. Brandon Ingram, 13% for the field. I'm getting 9. Not really a great option on the slate, but he's playing well. The Raptors are all playing well. It's just that they are now, because quickly got priced up a little bit. Excuse me. They're all just kind of too expensive for a situation where Toronto has a lot of legit good guys. Let's sort by value here. So Craig Porter Jr., this is the one that really, I wouldn't say pissed me off about yesterday, but it upset me because I knew I didn't want to play Lonzo because of the way that value opened up for everywhere else and a lot of the plays I wanted to get to at point guard, in particular Ryan Rollins, also Drew Holiday, unfortunately, also Jalen Suggs, unfortunately. But the Ryan Rollins one is pretty good. I didn't get to Porter Jr., but Porter Jr. basically benefited from, number one, Lonzo Ball not being able to play a lot of minutes like we talked about on the show yesterday. Number 2, he also benefited because they trusted him to play defense and kind of not be a lead ball handler a lot of the time, as opposed to Tyrese Proctor, who they kind of had out there, but he had to really have the ball in his hands to play minutes. Yesterday, we saw Porter Jr. get to 32 minutes here, some of which you could see he played filling in for Lonzo, but a little bit here was overlap with Lonzo. He came in for DeAndre Hunter at one point. This stint here, he came in for Thomas Bryant / Dean Wade. Wait, no, my bad. I misread that. He came in for Hunter here. So basically, he did play a lot of minutes that Hunter didn't play. He also played minutes that Hunter did play. With no Lonzo tonight and also taking Garland off the court, and the fact that Craig Porter Jr. went nuts because he played really good defense yesterday, still got some points, some rebounds, some assists, but he also had 3 or 4 blocks in that game. I think Porter Jr. feels like a safer play minutes-wise than he would have been normally. Stokastic has him for 24 minutes with Garland out. I think that he'll play more because of the fact he showed he doesn't have to play just that secondary point guard, lead ball handler role, but he'll get some of that anyway because of Lonzo being out. But I think because of the fact that he showed defensively he can kind of hang in and do that, I think he might get a few more minutes today on that front. So he's 3,300. It does feel like a lot for a guy who was a bench player. And before this most recent run, he was playing less minutes than Tyrese Proctor in some spots. I think there's risk to Porter Jr., but I don't know. With how he played yesterday, I don't know how he doesn't get this 24-minute projection, given that Garland is out. Fields going to play a lot of Porter Jr., though, 46% ownership. He just went for 50 yesterday. Won't be a surprise. I got him at 67, but he definitely is a player that seems like a value here on a slate where there aren't a lot of them. Nick Richards, part of the three-headed center rotation. It's expected for Phoenix today, with Mark Williams not likely to play, or I think might be officially ruled out. Phoenix, let's go. Well, this is going to be yesterday where Mark Williams was active. Do we have one where he wasn't? Mark Williams played this one, but you could still get a read. Basically, they do play Nick Richards when Mark Williams comes off the court. They also do play Iguodaro as the secondary big slash. Sometimes they play him over Nick Richards. Here you could say they played Iguodaro. They played him with Mark Williams here. But it's Iguodaro, Nick Richards, and then Kamen Maluak, who is only playing blowout mostly, but he should get a few minutes at center. It's not a guaranteed thing that they have a center on as much as they do when Mark Williams starts, but Nick Richards is like a decent value at 3,200. He should get some amount of run, whether it's off the bench, I guess a chance that he could start, even though I don't think that's likely. Then gets another slate here where there's not a lot of value. So your Porter Jr. play to me feels better than Nick Richards, but both guys will be in the rotation and have minutes, and they produce okay per minute. So that's why you're getting them a good amount here. Nick Richards is expected to be 27% owned. I've got him in 39% of my top 150, with my projection being basically dead even with Stokastics. Onyeka Okongwu, I have a little bit lower here, though he will gain minutes because of not having Porzingis in. That said, the field's at 62%. I only got him at 43. If Jalen Johnson is out, it's going to look a lot better for Okongwu. As it is right now, I think he's an okay play, but my projection is not supporting going nuts about him. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, a guy that I have a little bit higher, about 2.2 fantasy points higher than Stokastic. As a result, I'm getting him at 60. Fields expected to be at 31. Really, all the Hawks are viable plays today, and if you get Jalen Johnson out, it's going to look even better. And as I mentioned on that Saturday slate, I know a lot of people don't play Saturdays. I'm doing it now because I'm doing the streams for Stokastic for Live Before Lock. The Hawks were like really good in that game versus the Lakers, and that was Luka. No Austin Reeves, but Luka full strength for the Lakers, and they kicked their ass. And I think if you get Jalen Johnson out, I would just play whatever Hawks come up at whatever amount. Because the matchup for them going against Utah is like another really good one. Shitty defense, and the Hawks bench is I think a really good bench. A lot of guys that are good defensively can do more when they actually get the opportunity to do it. Dyson Daniels fills that lead guard role a little bit more and seems kind of rise to the occasion with how the rates are starting to shake out for him. Hawks are really important today. Jalen Johnson, a top value, despite being also one of the top projected plays. If he is in, I think you have to play him a good amount, and frankly, would make the case that he might be like a borderline lock button guy, relative positionality and what that projection is. Yusuf Nurkic, I've got a 51%, Fields at 20. Nurkic playing good minutes overall. We do have Kevin Love back in today, so that does affect the minutes outlay a little bit for Nurkic. Nurkic still feels like he's due to have a better day, still only getting up 42% true shooting, but his usage is not great. It keeps falling game to game. So for Nurkic, it does feel like to me, he's not quite the same guy that he has been historically, but he still produces well enough. He contributes a lot of rebounds, can get some steals and blocks as well, and at some point feels like he has to score a little bit more. I think Nurkic is a good play today at 6,500, much more than Stokastic does with only 20% expected ownership. DeAndre Hunter we talked about. Again, he just keeps looking good to me. The price tag is getting a little bit aggressive, though. Jordan Goodwin, 24% exposure for me. Fields at 15. For Goodwin, the biggest thing is that he is another cheap guy at 3,500 who's playing at about a 0.9 fantasy point per minute pace. Phoenix, the guard minutes, there's more than enough guys to play minutes if they don't want to play Jordan Goodwin, but, they keep bringing him back to the team, and he produces pretty well across every category. So nothing wrong with Jordan Goodwin, really. Lowry Marketed, we talked about. Dylan Brooks, the usage rate for him is hanging steady at 27%, so a little bit lower than the 30% rate he was keeping to start the year. Brooks looks mostly unowned here. 7.8% ownership and a 3-game slate. I'm willing to take that shot. And Brooks contributing 1.03 fantasy points per minute. It does feel like he's shooting unsustainably a bit much, but, they haven't stopped him from doing it so far, so... For Dylan Brooks in a day where he's not chalky, I'm happy to get almost 5x the field on him. And Mo Gay, who's expected to get some more minutes today because of Porzingis being out, he would also start if Jalen Johnson were out. Would most likely be Okongwu and Mo Gay starting. Right now, Mo Gay looks decent at 4,100. He will be an absolute smash play if you get Jalen Johnson out. We're going to go game by game view here, guys, but it should be pretty similar. Before I do that, though, please do hit that like button. Please subscribe here. You guys have been really great on the NBA channel here. Frankly, makes me feel a little bit mad at the NFL viewers. Because they're smashing the like button here. We're getting above 1,000 views on every video, which is great, given the fact that we're only about 3 weeks into the NBA season. So the work continues on here all NBA season long. The more you guys keep hitting that like button, subscribe, we'll see what we can really make a run on with this channel this year. So please do help me out. I'm just one dude showing you my gambling, but your support goes a long way as we try to fight that YouTube algorithm every day. And of course, check out Stokastic too. They are kind enough to let me show you their data here on screen, the sim stuff as well, but this does update as the day goes on. If you want their projections or their sim stuff, all the cheap things, all the expensive things, NBA, NFL, whatever sports you want as well, promo code SPLASH gets you 15% off. So take advantage of that. It's the only deal they have going. And it does also support the show because half the money you pay to Stokastic does come back to me. And last but not least, you want to see the stuff I show you here on screen, join the channel. $5 if you just want to join and support the show. But if you want the matchup sheet that I create here that I'm showing you, you also want to see my projections exportable for whatever sites you're playing on, join the Squirt Squad tiers down below. All right, there we go. We've whored. My mouth is full from whoring. Toronto, 115.5 implied points here. Cleveland, 123. Toronto, I think, is a good team, but they're playing Cleveland, who does play better defense than many teams in the league with that 112.7 defensive efficiency rating that you can see here. Pace, lateral spot, so nothing too crazy there. I think if you believe Toronto can hang in this game, Barnes seems underowned, Ingram seems underowned. But, you know, it is a decent spread here. 7.5 points favoring Cleveland at home. And Cleveland, it does feel like when they have most of the starters there, in particular Mitchell and Mobley, they are smoking a lot of teams. But I think for this game, if it's competitive, I could see Barnes and Ingram having outlier days. Quickly at 6,900, not as cheap as he was the other slate when he went off, but he did show 45 fantasy point upside there. You have guys for Toronto that could spike at any situation, and they're all under 20% owned on a 3-game slate. So really think if you're playing a 150 max, you'll be rewarded getting some exposure to Toronto. If I'm putting in one or two lineups in the big tournament, I'm not going to play Toronto. So that's sort of the yin yang of them. I think they're a compelling tournament play. The top 4 only, really. But that's that. Cleveland on their side are getting a lot more ownership with Garland being out and a nice healthy 123-point implied total for Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell has that tournament winning upside on any slate, and this is one where we have no other pay-up options really. So getting him at 20% is not a bad move, even though I'm only getting him at 7 because my projection is about 2.7 fantasy points lower. I'm also a little bit lower on Mobley. I'm not really sure why. It might be because of just how these guys played a little bit better last year, but it honestly might be because of how well Hunter is playing that he's taken a little bit away in my projection, because I am 2.5 fantasy points higher on Hunter, a little bit higher on Allen. Doesn't feel like enough to be this big of a discrepancy, but no matter what the case may be for Mitchell and Mobley, these guys project well enough to play. DeAndre Hunter and Jared Allen do look a little bit better as value options to me. But Hunter, I'm getting a lot of. Jared Allen above the field on by not nearly as much. Craig Porter Jr. seems like the value option you want here. I don't think that Tyrese Proctor would be a real pivot for him because Porter Jr. Is the reason he would get more minutes today is that he could play good defense and not just get usage and chuck. That said, Porter Jr. does have a 59% true shooting rate on the year, a little bit above league average. He's not even getting a ton of shots up, but still contributing 0.92 fantasy points a minute. Porter Jr. yesterday was playing a much more nuanced role than the old Ty Jerome backup role that's been valuable. He got rebounds, he got steals and blocks. He created a decent amount of assists, didn't go crazy in points or anything, but did put up points. I think Porter Jr. feels like a trap because he just went nuts yesterday, but I think he earned himself more of a role with how he played. And again, having watched all of that game yesterday because of DeAndre Hunter. Indiana, 114.5 implied points. Siakam, another one of the pay-up options on the slate. Getting him above the field feels fine. Again, really do think with the, whatever it was, 50, 60% ownership expected between Siakam, between Donovan Mitchell, and between Devin Booker, I would just try to get 20% of each of those guys because they all functionally represent the same thing, even though different positions and all that. Andrew Nembhard is the one I think is the most interesting here, averaging 1 fantasy point per minute, has a history of spiking usage and assist upside when you take, in particular, Tyrese Halliburton off the court. But at this point, his minutes are staggered enough from McConnell that I think he's a good play, also due to shoot better. The usage can come down on any given spot, but like Nembhard, At least from the few games he's played so far coming back from injury. He's playing like a guy who feels like he deserves to be the lead guard. And for me, that's enough to be there when my projection's already saying play the guy. Aaron Nesmith benefiting as well from having good point guards around him. McConnell in. Nesmith himself needs a point guard to set him up. But 15% ownership. I got him at 6. Price tag at 6,100 for Nesmith. Not that great. TJ McConnell I'll highlight quickly because Nembhard is pretty chalky. If McConnell steals minutes away and really fast, let's look at the Indiana popcorn machine here to see how that looked last game. So Nembhard went out. McConnell came in with Ben Shepherd. Then McConnell and Nembhard played a little bit together. Then neither of them were in because they went to Monty Morris. Huh. Okay. Forgot about the Monty Morris thing. Nembhard playing here. McConnell's playing some of the minutes without him. It's not a direct push-pull, it looks like, with Nembhard and McConnell. They're playing a little bit together. McConnell didn't play in the second half, probably because of his minutes needing to get ramped up. You know what? If McConnell didn't play the second half and he got limited to 11 minutes, he probably shouldn't be in play today. And in fact, Stokastic giving him 16, that might be overly aggressive. So I was going to talk about McConnell here because his rates are fucking insane. He's only played a little bit, but a 44% usage rate, 38% assist rate, 1.32 fantasy points per minute. The reason he's probably doing that is because he knows he's not going to play a lot. But when he's out there, he's going to shoot a good amount and create assists because they just have nobody else in that second unit that can do it. So McConnell, something interesting there, but I think the price needs to get a little bit lower and the minutes need to get a little bit higher before I could really say that's a good play. The 3-game slate, though, is the kind of time where if you get that upside right today, nobody's going to be there. Phoenix, good amount of field ownership coming for Phoenix here. You've got Booker, Allen, Royce O'Neal, all above 30. Nick Richards not that far off either. Devin Booker is the one I'm the least high on here. Really do feel like just getting less Booker, more of the other 2 pay-up options would be a good move. Grayson Allen, I'm with the field on. He's playing pretty well, shooting his mind out at 63% true shooting, and he is out there a lot for defense as well. So Grayson Allen, no real issue with him. Dillon Brooks is the one I'm much higher on. He has played much better this year, more aggressively as well. That's what I've projected for 20 points today. Like, that does feel a little bit lofty for Dillon Brooks over the course of time. But, you know, Phoenix needs shooters, and he is a guy who is willing to shoot, even though he's more known for his defense. Dillon Brooks, 53% true shooting, should get better, though it's Dillon Brooks, so maybe not. But he's a guy that always, like, Dillon Brooks thinks he's the best scorer on the court. He just hasn't had that role lately because he's been on teams where it's like, actually been pretty clear that he's not. On this team, though, he has enough time out there where Booker doesn't want to shoot. Brooks does, so he gets shots up. Royce O'Neal, I'm not as crazy about with Brooks in, but 31% for the field. I got 16. Goodwin and Richards, nice values here. Neither that exciting. Ryan Dunn plays minutes, doesn't really do a whole lot with it, but yeah, I don't know. I don't even know why I said his name, but like he plays enough. You know, projected to play 23 at 4,900. On this slate, guys like Ryan Dunn sometimes do win you money, even though they feel like fucking nothing. But because nobody plays them and like they can get you 20 fantasy points to 25, sometimes they matter. Atlanta, 117.5 implied points, playing one of the league's worst defenses in Utah, giving up 120 points per 100 possessions is what those efficiency stats mean. For Atlanta right now with Jalen Johnson in, they look really good. If Jalen Johnson is out, they're going to look even better. But as it is, I am slightly above the field on Jalen Johnson, a little bit low on Dyson Daniels, but still getting him in about a third of my lineups. Okongwu, I'm a little bit low on as well, but he's still in 43% of my lineups. Alexander Walker's in 59%, Fields at 31. Mo Gay, I'm at 21, Fields at 34. So even though I'm light on some of these guys relatively, you're still getting them a ton, and you should because Utah is absolute dog shit. Reza Shea is the one who's not coming up. I never get Reza Shea. I hated him as the number 1 overall pick, and my data never supports playing him either. But on a slate where everybody else is going to be owned and Reza Shea is not, I feel like those are the times that Reza Shea goes nuts and hits like fucking 8 threes or something. He's really, I don't know why he's in the league. Like Alex Sarr versus him, like Sarr I was a little bit down on coming out as well. And then he's rounded into a player I'm like, I think he's fun to play. I think he's fun to click. Reza Shea is not fun to click, and he's also playing shittily this year. But I have him at 22 fantasy points. Stokastic has him at 24. Utah on their side, getting a lot of marketing, a lot of Keontae George, a lot of use of Nurkic. Atlanta's defense is league average, and it's only going to get worse with the guys that they have out, you would think. That said, Markkanen, George coming up for me a lot on slate. Same thing for Nurkic. Isaiah Collier started recently for Utah, but he's not doing a whole lot out there. That said, 47% assist rate, shooting unsustainably hot, but starter minutes are there for him. And I don't trust Utah's rotation, but he's there. Ace Bailey had a decent day. I think finished just under 30 fantasy points last time out. He should be out there getting starter level minutes. Not the most exciting play, but he is a play. Because Kevin Love is back in, Filipowski, not as much of a compelling play today because there's more minutes to go around for the bigs. But yeah, I think for Utah, really the top three looks good. If you want to play Ace Bailey, I wouldn't be mad at it. I just don't think he is a player who looks ready for me to go nuts on. Guys who rebound, guys who assist, guys who shoot well, those are the guys I get more of. Ace Bailey has done none of that yet, and I don't like him as a prospect coming out of college where he just kind of seemed like pure usage. He's not the kind of player I want to chase after a decent day. But that's the game by game view, guys. So we've seen all that my data has to offer now. We'll go to Stokastic next, making good time on his 3-gamer as well. Let's build these 5,000 lineups here. We'll have them compete 10,000 times, I think is what they do. But guys, again, show some love if you can. Subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. Even if all you're going to do is fade everything I say here, that means you got adequate value out of the video. So please do show some love here if you can. Doing this work Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. for the NBA. NFL as well, Monday, Thursdays, and Fridays at 12 p.m. Premium video for NFL. If you want to do the showdown slate today, you want to hear me suck off Justin Fields on video, you can watch Stokastic's strategy show from this morning or my show on Splash Play Pod today. But check it out. Support the work if you can. And shout out to you guys who watch after the fact as well. My guy, Showtime, left me like 100 comments after the stream yesterday because he was just replying to stuff as if he was in the live chat. And I appreciate it a lot. I was like, I certainly couldn't reply to all of them, but you guys have really been kind in your support of the show. So let's keep seeing how high we can push this thing is really my goal for the year. And hopefully, the work backs it out. Your top ROI lineups right now, according to Stokastic data. So we saw what my sim stuff, my data rather overlaid in a Stokastic sim gives in terms of ownership. Now we'll see what their data looks like without my interference. Craig Porter Jr. does make this top ROI lineup. Nickeil Alexander-Walker makes it. He looks good right now. He will look better if we get Jalen Johnson out. Brandon Ingram, Evan Mobley, Nick Richards is a value. Andrew Nembhard, Lauri Markkanen, Yusuf Nurkic. Really no issue with any of these players. You're getting all legit rotational guys. But you do have to play Porter Jr. and Nick Richards off the bench to get to these guys who are all more legit plays. Number 2 is Keontae George, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, DeAndre Hunter, Evan Mobley, Nick Richards, Andrew Nembhard again. Royce O'Neal makes this one, and Okongwu makes this one as well. Number 3, we got Andrew Nembhard again, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, Nick Richards yet again, Jordan Goodwin as a value makes it, Jalen Johnson makes this one, and Okongwu makes it. So this one we're playing Johnson and Okongwu. This one we faded Jalen Johnson for Okongwu, and this one we just didn't play any Hawks bigs. Interesting. It's probably something to extrapolate from that. Number 4 ROI lineup is Andrew Nembhard, Jordan Goodwin, Dylan Brooks, Evan Mobley, Nick Richards, Keontae George, Jalen Johnson, and Okongwu again. And number 5, Craig Porter Jr. makes it again. Donovan Mitchell, DeAndre Hunter, Dylan Brooks, Nick Richards, Andrew Nembhard, Jalen Johnson, and Okongwu. Really no issue with these guys. The Jalen Johnson status seems to be the key thing we need to know to feel good about him, or at least know that he's playing and then figure out what you want to pivot around if you're not going to play Jalen Johnson. But the top ROI players, nobody into positive ROIs across the entire set of lineups here. But that doesn't matter. We're worried about the directional accuracy more than anything. It's Nick Richards, number 1, Jordan Goodwin, number 2, Andrew Nembhard, number 3, Craig Porter Jr., number 4, and Pascal Siakam, number 5, with my boy DeAndre Hunter not too far behind. DeAndre Hunter, early candidate for the Quentin Grimes of the year in my data. Onyeka Okongwu right now, 74% exposure, Fields at 61. Okongwu, one of the Sims' favorite plays today, getting 13% leverage on the Fields' expected ownership. Craig Porter Jr. and 73% of lineups, Fields at 45. Again, I don't know that I could say the minutes are like super duper guaranteed. I also don't think he'll be as productive when you bring Donovan Mitchell in. But Craig Porter Jr. really do believe that he earned minutes because of the defense yesterday. I think he'll earn it again. Does Nick Richards even get minutes in the 20s if Williams is out? I don't think you're necessarily getting the 20s, but at his price tag, high teens would be enough. I mean, real fast, we can... Oh, what the fuck happened here? Hold on. Real fast, we can look on NBA Wowie. I do like to try and answer these questions, and we're making decent time. Phoenix. All right, so the last time Mark Williams didn't play, we saw, and this is early in the season as well, we saw an Iguodaro start, Nick Richards off the bench for Iguodaro. Nigel Hayes Davis then played over the both of them for a little bit. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. Nick Richards got to 9 minutes in this spot where they didn't close, but this is also a month ago. In the most recent game for Phoenix, saw Nick Richards get 10 minutes as well, but he did come in immediately when Mark Williams went out. Then Nick Richards came out at this point for really seemingly no reason. Then they went Iguodaro. When Iguodaro's stint ended, they went back to Mark Williams. So the assumption really, I mean, honestly, Nick Richards might start. Because basically this rotation was Mark Williams, Nick Richards, Iguodaro, Mark Williams. Here, same thing. Mark Williams, Nick Richards comes in for him. Iguodaro comes in when Nick Richards' stint is done. Then they go back to Mark Williams. So what you probably get, I mean, it's possible to get the Nick Richards start, number one. The second part of it would be that you might then get Iguodaro being your lever against Nick Richards if he starts. But I think that's that. Does Mark Williams out really help Goodwin? Yeah, I think that would be it. Is that the assumption, at least the assumption in Stokastic's data right now, is that it's not a 48-minute split between Richards and Iguodaro. They have Nick Richards playing 18 minutes. They have Iguodaro playing 19. Then they have Kalman Maluk playing 9.7. So I think it's just some minutes going to him from whatever's left over from the bigs. Because you don't have Iguodaro. Iguodaro's going to play some 4 theoretically in the minutes. So yeah, I assume it is small ball lineups. Yeah, I would assume it's small ball lineups. This is the shorter way to say that, but I don't like the math is like a little bit weird on the minutes. Anyway, Craig Porter Jr., 73% ownership, field at 45. Nick Richards, 63% ownership in Stokastic's top 150, fields at 26. Does seem like Nick Richards, if he starts, you're going to probably get like 20 minutes. If he comes off the bench and you want to knock him down, you certainly can. It's definitely possible Iguodaro could start. We got Andrew Nembhard, 53% exposure in Stokastic's top 150, fields at 22. I also like Nembhard. He has been a killer in general when you take the lead guards off. Jalen Johnson, 49% exposure, field at 58. A fade by Stokastic on Jalen Johnson, but he is still in half their lineup, so is it really a fade? Highest leverage plays Nick Richards, Andrew Nembhard, Craig Porter Jr. DeAndre Hunter, you're playing 19% above the field, so Stokastic likes Hunter too. Glad to see that. And Jordan Goodwin, you're getting as well, 17% ownership, or 17% leverage, rather. What do I have projected for Mikhailuk? Not a lot at this point. He's getting killed by Ace Bailey taking minutes, but he still projects for 27 minutes. I would have him today for 4.4 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 0.4 assists. Projection of 15.7. What do you mind? Not really a play. Your highest leverage plays Nick Richards, Andrew Nembhard, Porter Jr., Hunter Goodwin, who said that. Biggest fades in Stokastic data right now, Dyson Daniels. Oh, okay. I would think that would change if you get Jalen Johnson out, but right now, Dyson Daniels, one of Stokastic's biggest fades, only playing him at 19%, fields at 35. Devin Booker, they're also fading, only 19% exposure, fields at 33. Jared Allen, only 7% exposure, fields at 21. Royce O'Neal, negative 13% leverage on him, 18% exposure, the fields at 31. And Jalen Johnson, the 10% negative leverage on him. He's still in half your lineups, but technically one of the biggest fades. Let's do a single lineup sim here real fast. Last stage of our journey. So my nose is getting itchy. All the lines I've been ripping here mid-show. All right, this is not today's slate. What's going on here? There we go. All right. Let's build this lineup out here. Would I recommend playing whichever of Richard Iguodaro doesn't start for leverage? No, you should still want to play the starter, but if you're only putting one lineup in and you know the field's going to play Nick Richards a lot and that whatever minutes he doesn't play likely go to Oso Iguodaro, that's just DFS. Like, do you want to fade that chalk because you think it's not a good play? For me, Nick Richards is grayed out so well, I'd probably just play him. But, if you're trying to do that, you certainly can. That's how you should think about every DFS slate. It's like, who's the backup? Like, the biggest DFS one I had just shy of 60K was Nerlens Noel was chalk. I played Taj Gibson on a slate where they were both the Knicks bigs. That's it's literally what happens like every day. Yesterday, same thing. Like Lonzo Ball wasn't crazily owned, but he was 17% owned or something. He was a starter for the Cavs. I talked about here his minutes were probably limited. Craig Porter Jr., nobody was playing because he wasn't starting. He then plays more minutes, takes minutes away from Lonzo, and also earns himself more minutes, and he puts up 50 fantasy points. That's NFL every slate, NBA every slate. That's just sort of how it goes. But you're right to think that way. Just like always think that way is what you should do for DFS. Devin Booker at point guard, not really exciting for me. And I know the sim is not going to love Dyson Daniels as much, it seems. Let's just go Craig Porter Jr. to start here. We know the sim likes him. I also like him, and he is point guard only. So he will go Craig Porter Jr. Shooting guard. Grayson Allen, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, probably be my guy. Jordan Goodwin if we want more value. But I'll go Nickeil here. 6K salary. Still a 5X value in Stokastic data. Small forward for me. Grayson Allen, DeAndre Hunter. Dillon Brooks. I do like the low ownership on Dillon Brooks, though he's also power forward. The sim likes Hunter. I like Hunter. I'm going to go back to him here. We'll go Dillon Brooks at power forward. Center, probably my least favorite spot right now. I think it's Nurkic for me. Okongwu also in that same range. Sim likes Okongwu more. But I'll go Nurk here. 7,100 left for 2 spots or 3 spots each. The forward for me should be Jalen Johnson right now because we are assuming he is in. Leaves us 6,500 left for these 2 spots. I think it would be Dyson Daniels, Keontae George, also a decent play for me. Nembhard. It's too many guys I like today. Nembhard, come on down. 6,400 left. Well, you play Craig Porter Jr. to really build a nice balanced build. Now we could play Jared Allen or Okongwu, play both centers in the late game. Jared Allen versus Toronto with Mobley back. I don't think that's it for me. Okongwu projects a lot better in Stokastic data. I'm going to go that way. So the team here, we got Craig Porter Jr., Nickeil Alexander-Walker, DeAndre Hunter, Dillon Brooks, Yusuf Nurkic. There we go. Positive ROI. Andrew Nembhard, Jalen Johnson, Onyeka Okongwu, 50% ROI. Many of these guys are my splash plays, but we did it. One try, done. I'm going to give you guys my splash plays for the day. Before I do that, though, one last run-through plugs. Please subscribe down below. Please hit the like button. Please leave a comment. Please, sir, I want some more. It does help me out a bunch here every day, and you guys have been doing it on the NBA channel, but really would love to see. Can we get to 5K views a day? I don't know. Probably not, given my attitude and usefulness. We're still going to try here. I'm showing up and doing the work Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. Of course, on the @SplashPlay Bets channel on YouTube, the @SplashPlay Pod handle on Twitter. So watch it here. And of course, no matter what is going on in my life or how frustrated I am putting up good scores yesterday, not winning all the money, still show up here and keep pushing that boulder uphill. NBA DFS, we are all Sisyphus, and I am Sisyphusing. I'm sissying harder than all you guys out there. Check out Stokastic as well, 15% off, promo code SPLASH. Link down below in the description. Do check that out. Again, if you want to see the best data in the business, helping people win a lot of money on various sports, various slates, go check it out for yourself. All the cheap stuff, all the expensive sim products, it's all 15% off with the promo code SPLASH. And half the money you pay to them comes back to me. So really important if you want to see the show continue on to click that little link and go sign up. And last but not least, the Discord, $5 to join here, does support the show. YouTube takes half the money away in VIG because that's Trump's America. That's no, don't get mad. That's America. That's America. We said it. But $5 to join for the cheap tier. If you want all my data, the stuff I show you here on screen, the Squirt Squad tiers will get you there. Please don't dislike the video. We make jokes here. We're allowed to make jokes. I want my tariff check. Splash plays of the day. All the guys you saw me just put in. I like Andrew Nemhart. I like Dylan Brooks. I like Craig Porter Jr. as value. I like Yusuf Nurkic. I'm just reading the lineup again. I like Jalen Johnson if he plays. If he doesn't play, I'll like any Hawk, including Alexander Walker, including Okongwu, including Mo Gay. One thing I will say is I really don't love the pay up options. I think you will pay up for Siakam, for Booker, for Mitchell a good amount. But I think you might be able to build a balanced lineup today and make it work. So follow your heart, guys. But I think for me, balanced builds, the real splash play of the day is the balanced builds. So hope that works out today. Gamble responsibly, guys, especially on these NBA, NFL crossover days. I feel the pull on bankroll. I'm sure you guys do as well. It's important to say it out loud. Gamble responsibly, even though I am flashing a dollar bill with my face on it here for you. It is always money time. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel at SplashPlayBets or on Twitter at SplashPlayPod. And I will see you guys tomorrow for more. Tomorrow, the long haul where we do shows from 12 straight through to 3 p.m. Across the NFL, across the NBA. Do that. And if you want showdown content, my stream with Laffy on Stokastic's channel this morning, that's always a good time for me. My Splash Play Pod video also covering the DFS slate for today for the NFL showdown with Patriots Jets. So check that out. But I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. And thanks for hanging, guys. All right. Bye-bye.